everyone, and welcome to Moms Get Real, where real moms confess to being less than perfect. In fact, we get real with the goal of cracking the perfect mommy facade. I want to welcome to the show GMA Life and Family contributor Lee Woodruff. She's also author of the Perfectly Imperfect book, A Life in Progress. Hey, Lee.
Hey, Juju.
And today's topic is when kids cramp the romance. I think something we can all relate to, right, Lee?
Oh, yeah.
I think what's interesting about this topic is this notion that we all know that in order to build the family pyramid, you need to put the marriage first and the kids second, and yet we seem to get tripped up.
Well, who says that we need to put the marriage first? Because I think that we're stuck, I know I am, in these middle years where I come dead last, of course, but I know my kids are coming first, and every now and then maybe I get a date night.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, to bring more fuel to this fire, we're going to welcome back to the show Daphne Brogdon. She's founder of CoolMom.com, and she's a panelist at Momversation as well. Hi, Daphne.
Hi, how's it going?
We're well. So Lee and I are kind of wondering, sort of, do you put the kids first? Do you put the marriage first? What do you think?
Well, I kind of think Lee's right. I think the kids usually do come first, but you don't want to totally jettison the marriage. As all things, it's constant balance. It was funny. My husband and I, uncharacteristically, like, we're a little kind of cuddling, snuggling this morning, and I looked over. My daughter was just beaming, looking at us. So you always have to remember that, like, happy family, happy kids.
Oh, clearly we have a different dynamic. My kids, whenever I'm cuddling with the daddy, like, no, daddy, no, and they're trying to, you know, maybe it's a little Oedipal thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
3 boys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 3 boys. Tell me, though, Daphne, you have a feeling that, like, we need to preserve some romance in the marriage, right? And maybe not expose ourselves to everything gross in our marriage?
Yes, I am a firm believer that marriages would last longer and be happier if there was no flossing. I don't want to see my husband floss. I don't think we should be clipping our nails or flossing or doing any of that stuff. It's gross. I mean, would you do it your best friend? Would you be like, oh, hi, Lee, how you doing?
You do something that I do, which is you get a room. You get a hotel room. Why is that key?
2.5 months. It's essential. I need to remember why we got married, why I fell in love, you know?
Okay, but can I just say, at the end of the day, we get the hotel room and, you know, you do whatever you do. And then, but for me, the treat is sleeping in the morning.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the best part of it. So we get a room in town, or you could do a slumber party. Like, they could have a slumber party at Grandma's house, which is more cost effective, arguably. And then, you know, it serves the same purpose.
No, you know why I think that's wrong? I think you have to remove yourself from the premises because the dishes are blinking at you, the computer email, the stuff that you have to go straighten, that spot on the wall. I really think to have really great married sex after kids, you need to leave the premises.
Okay, so have Grandma spend the night and you get out of Dodge, right?
Yeah.
What is it, when we say transactional life, what does that mean? What does that reduce our marriage to?
It's all about, you know, who got the food, who gets the kid, And it's not even necessarily about sex. It's about, the other day I read aloud a chapter of a book I was reading to my husband, and it was so nice to share that moment, you know, just like something else in our mind and body that connects us.
It is transactional, though. Let's bring a father's voice into this because we often get criticized. You know, it's just not about moms. Joining us now is Jeremy Adams-Smith. He is the author of The Daddy Shift, How Stay-at-Home Dads, Breadwinning Moms, and Shared Parenting Are Transforming the American Family. He's also the editor of Shareable.net. Thanks for joining us, Jeremy.
It's great to be here.
Tell me about your view of the sort of transactional marriage. I know that you have been a stay-at-home mom, dad rather, and you've also been back in the workforce. What are the differences? Compare and contrast.
You know, I think that it's a huge shock when you become a parent because your entire relationship has changed. And for a long time, when your child's an infant, the baby does come first. He just does, or she just does. And that's not going to be any different. And then if you have more than one child, the presence of children in your life just keeps growing. And a lot of couples have trouble shifting gears and paying attention to each other. And that was definitely the case between my wife and I.
You mean shifting gears between your marriage, being parents, and being husband and wife?
Right. Right. Well, I would describe it as shifting gears from being the parent of an infant and toddler to being the parent of an older child who can go to the bathroom by himself and who goes to school for much of the day. And that's when, you know, and that's the point where you have to kind of remember why it is you fell in love and start carving out time for yourself as a couple. Because I think for a lot of parents, when they first become parents, the priority actually is time to yourself.
Right.
Time to go to movies, time to read a book. You know, we really need that. But we also need time, of course, to be couples. And, you know, and that's really when empathy breaks down, especially when one person is the primary caregiver, is the stay-at-home parent, and the other person is going to work. Because we forget what it's like, what pressures you face. And that's why date night is really important. But not just date night. I mean, you know, I was thinking when you guys were talking about date night, you know, you were talking about, you know, going away and getting a hotel and all of these fancy things. And my wife and I did that when we had our first date nights. But it turned out to be a lot of pressure for us as a couple. I mean, you know, I'm sure that works for a lot of couples. But for us, what worked was just staying at home, renting a movie, you know, getting a roast chicken, you know, from the store, and just really taking it easy and talking to each other about our lives.
Daphne, I'm curious, you know, Jeremy talks a lot about bringing the outside community into not just the parenting, but into the marriage as well. How do you keep things fresh in your relationship?
Oh boy, I think it's I think it's going out and being. Sometimes it is being around other people, because then you get energized. You need a new life source to feed off of. You know, so if you're having drinks with maybe a couple you don't even know that well or something, so it's kind of fun. You hear their story, you get excited. If you can, maybe once, twice a year, go a weekend away. I think it's experiencing something other than your normal transactional life. I thought it was interesting when Jeremy was talking about it becoming you get a lack of empathy, which I thought was a very good way to put it. And that's where that, you know, taking advantage of each other comes, and you have to remember, like, oh, so-and-so's he's funny, or she's witty, or I love the way she lights up a room, you know, and you don't see that when your hair's back in a greasy ponytail going around.
I think also the opposite of lack of empathy, or maybe it's the same thing, but I think what begins to happen, and I know I've felt it recently for many reasons, and luckily my husband and I can talk about it. I think lack of empathy really becomes resentment, and that's where it becomes really dangerous, because who feels like being amorous when you're actually resenting the person because they're sailing in with their briefcase, or they're coming back from you know, whatever glamorous location.
There is a phrase that a marital expert told me. He refers to it as normal marital hatred. And a lot of people who are married know exactly what he's talking about.